All right. Let's see how this works out. I'm kind of doing sort of a pop-up live stream because I know yesterday I was having all sorts of issues with with using that platform. For some reason, I wasn't getting any signal in here, and it kept um, not dropping my feed, but kind of um, buffering, I guess, because it would stall out. It would it would drop the audio. I was having all sorts of issues. Um, as crazy as it sounds, I think it's, one of those situations where, I'm using the same computer that I normally use when I do my live streams. But I've found that if I have it completely shut off. Hey, Jody, thanks for dropping in. I'm kinda doing, like a test to make sure my problems are fixed. Hey, Marcos, up all night, or is it just, bright and early it's bright and early for me. I got up real early today. Well, it's, funny because Jody's probably been up way, way earlier than I have, especially because she's more towards the east side of the country. So, hey, Manuel, what's up? No, I'm trying to do like a test live stream because yesterday, I was having all sorts of issues. I was like this close from grabbing the computer and just chucking it against the wall. And, I was very, very frustrated. It's funny because I don't know if that's a thing or not. I'm not computer savvy enough. I'm right in the middle of the country. Yeah, that's so it's if you're in Central Time, then it's like 9 o'clock where you're at. But if you're considered Eastern Time, then it's 10 o'clock, which is way past the morning. Um, and I know you get up like at 4 o'clock in the morning, so that would be either 2 or 1 o'clock for us. Yeah. Uh, and it kept I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. It's weird because the computer showed that it had a strong signal for the Wi-Fi, but the app itself kept telling me that it wasn't getting reception, and it just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. Now, this has sort of been an issue. Like I was saying, my computer, I normally don't use it unless I'm in a live stream. That's really the only thing I use this laptop for. So I don't have a ton of programs on here, so it's not like it's um, the hard drive's full of information and stuff like that. Like I said, the only thing I really do with this laptop, and it's me and my wife, it's either consume videos like on YouTube, or myself that I do live streams, and she was doing like a Zoom class a while back. And when we were using it on a regular basis, especially when she was using excuse me, we didn't have any of those issues because the computer really never turned off. But um recently I've gone long, long periods where I'm not doing anything on here. And I noticed that when I try to start it back up, it's like starting up an old guy waking up. It takes it a long time for it to get going. And yesterday I forgot to usually I like to turn on my computer like an hour before a live stream and have it up and running. I will have it playing videos and all that stuff. But yesterday I was trying to do any of the keystrokes, and I would do an input and it would have a delay. And it was not like a few seconds delay. It almost like a 30-40 second delay where you're kind of hitting the keys a couple of times and then it catches up and it's doing all this weird stuff. It was so bad to the point that I finally decided that I was going to go on my phone and do the live stream. I wish none of those issues had happened. Hey Don, thanks for being here. Um, you know, because it really made for an awkward interview at the beginning. I hate it when things don't go off correctly. I don't want to have a repeat of that, so that's why I'm on here today. And I guess take a little bit of an opportunity to talk about my trip to San Antonio and some of the stuff that I got to do up there, and some of the people that I got to meet. I know I posted a couple of videos, um, but that's kind of why I'm even up. I'm not going to be very long because I know Kyle will be going on today. If I'm not mistaken, it's 9 o'clock my time, 11 o'clock his time this morning. So I'm going to be very cognizant of the time because I don't want to. I actually I want to watch his live stream too. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoy watching this live stream. And then yesterday too, this is one of the drawbacks to not having a set. That's right. Okay, well, I'm guess I'm trying to live in the future. I got the notification. I should have looked. For some reason, I thought today was Wednesday, but it's Tuesday, so we're good. Sorry about that. Sorry, don't listen to me. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Uh, I don't want to have you guys cancel plans just to go watch Kyle. Thinking that's today. Uh, so as I was telling you guys, we went to San Antonio to go visit family. Our son, who's in the Air Force, is stationed out there in Lackland in San Antonio. So we've been going up there for the last. This will be the third or fourth year that we go up there, and no, this will be the third year. The first year we didn't. I didn't really do much as far as going out and to do stuff. I mean, we go to San Antonio maybe about twice a year. My wife has gone a little bit more often than I, because she'll catch a flight and just go up there for a weekend and then come back. We don't do the both of us because then it gets too expensive. A weekend trip ends up costing like $600, and so I'd rather have her go up there for about $300. That's not that bad. But you start getting up at $600-800, it's something to think about. So, and then you got if we both go, we need to get a car. If she goes up there, my son can pick her up, and because if we go, then she wants to go out and do stuff. If she goes up there by herself, then she'll stay at home with the kids and enjoy them for the weekend. So it's just when you travel, it's always a little bit more expensive. You end up spending more than what you were planning on usually. But anyways, we drove up there. Normally we'll do um like a 1 day trip, which is about we've got it down to about 16-17 hour drive. And we'll alternate, um, you know, depending on when we drive up there, and we'll swap out back and forth. And we can knock it out that way. It's not that bad because it's just me and my wife, so we got the whole vehicle to be able to stretch out if we want to lean back and go take a nap while the other one's driving. So that was not an issue. But this time around, we did something a little bit different. I was had prepared myself because I was working night shift. Normally when that happens, I tell her I like driving when I'm coming off a night shift because let's say the way it works, I go in Wednesday night to work for Thursday. So I get off Thursday at 6 o'clock in the morning. And we've done this before where I'll come from work. I'll get my normal sleep in the morning, which usually it's about 4 to 6 hours, and I'll be good. And then the idea was Friday we were supposed to start. Um, well, no, Thursday evening, because then I can drive all night because I'm kind of in that night shift um kind of schedule where I'm going to be up anyways because I'm trying to, that's what I've been doing for a week. But she was like, "No, I'll drive in the morning. When you get off of work, you can sleep all the way up there." But it's hard for me to sleep as it is during the day, and sleeping in the car. I got maybe a few hours, but I still felt tired when I woke up. And we made it all the way to El Paso. And the problem is, once you get to El Paso to San Antonio, it's about another 8 hours, and there's nothing in between. I mean, there's little gas stations and stuff like that, but nowhere where you could really come in and get a hotel and be able to sleep. You can drive, I think it's like 4 hours to Fort Stockton, and they have a couple of hotels there, but they hold you ransom because they're out there in the middle of nowhere. And a room that you would normally pay, maybe about $100, you're going to end up paying like 200, 250 for the same room, just because they're out there in the middle of nowhere. So when we got to San Antonio, we stopped. Um, we went to dinner, and I told my wife, you know what? Let's just let's just stay here for the night, because I knew that what was going to happen is we would get going. I would get tired. By the time I got tired, it'd probably be like around 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and my wife would have been just as tired as I was, because she's been up the entire day. So it was going to be pointless. I didn't want to end up in a situation where we had to pull over at a gas station and had to sleep a few hours just to be able to get going. So I told her, let's just stay here. We'll get a good night rest. We'll get up in the morning and we'll head out. And yeah, we did that, and it worked out. It worked out good, um, because I was able to sleep. I got up real early. Um, I think I was up like Jody, like at 4 in the morning or something like that. And told my wife, let's get going. And so we were able to really make up for time. And we got into San Antonio like by noon. So it was perfect. I think it was even before noon. So we were able to, hang out all Friday instead of I the other drawback would have been if I had drove that Thursday night, I probably would have slept in all day Friday morning. So I kind of like that on the way up there, to be able to break it up into two drives. We weren't tired. The drive back is a different story. Drive back, we did it all in one day, and it took us like a day and a half to recuperate, just because we're not 20 anymore. So it takes us a while. I'm getting things started, but near 4 years, I'm going to start off renting a garage, LLC aquarium shop. All right, nice, nice, Kimco. Wally, thank you for joining us. Let's see who else popped in here. Probably not a whole lot of people, because, like I said, it's just real early for the West Coast, and I didn't even announce it because it's just a pop up. This whole time, has the feed either glitched? Has the audio dropped? Have you guys experienced any issues on your end? Because it seems like on my end, it's going very smooth, which is what I'm hoping for tonight or this afternoon when I go live again with Mike. And I'm starting to wonder if it's just a matter of the time when I'm doing it. AV is okay. Thank you, Jody. That's my biggest. That's the whole reason for me even being on today is to make sure that that the video and all that stuff is not, it's not an issue, because yesterday I was pretty frustrated, to say the least. So we ended up going up there. It was we got there on Friday. When we came back, well, so we were up there for a week, because we got there on a Friday and we came back on a Friday. Uh, we did. It was the most we've done on a trip to San Antonio. Usually, what happens when we go to San Antonio is we just kind of chill and hang out, um, at my son's house, and with the grandkids, and the grandkids want to go to the pool, and that's all we really do. We don't really do a whole lot. We might go eat once, go out to eat, but with the kids, is you really can't go to any really nice restaurants, because they don't want to eat anything that's there. They want to eat, like chicken strips and and just what kids always want to eat when they go out. And so we kind of hold back a little bit as to what we want to do. Any issues with the flooding? You know what? It's it's interesting, because we were supposed to drive through Kerrville that same day where all that stuff was happening, and like I was just talking about earlier. And it was, I'm not going to say here, oh, I had this gut feeling. No, it was just, I knew I was going to be very tired by the time we started coming into San Antonio if I decided to drive all that time. And fortunately, we decided to stay in El Paso. And when we woke up, the news feed was all that. They had that river overflow, and it just washed through the entire town. And unfortunately, it took a lot of lives. And that was terrible. Um, but I don't know. It's one of those. I don't think that would have affected us, because we drove through the area. I didn't realize why all the exits to that side of that town, because that town is relatively small. It has two exits off the highway, and the very first one is at a low point, where the interstate has a bridge that runs over the top of that exit. So it's a high point. The bridge the highway is actually a high point, and that exit is down, which looks like a ravine or a river or creek that runs through there. And I guess that's part of where that water kind of rushed down through there. And I never put one and two together because, for one, um, I had just kind of early in the morning had seen a couple of notes on it, and I didn't catch which town it was. But we were going to stop there. We were going to stop there because we were going to grab a coffee, and they have a Starbucks. And I was trying to get out. That town happened to have a Starbucks, and we were going to pull off in there, and all four exits off the highway were blocked by highway patrol, or whatever, the troopers, I guess, state troopers. And hey, Lucy, thanks for coming in. Tommy, thanks for coming in. Who else is kind of snuck in here? Wally, I said hi. Kimco, hello. And I did notice that there was officers, and they weren't letting you off the highway at that section. And I was like, okay, well, something must have happened. Obviously, but still, to at that point, had no clue as to what had really happened and how bad it was. Um, that's the first time I've seen a gift membership to the gifter. Yeah, it does some stuff like that sometimes. Uh, and I didn't think much of it, other than I figured something had happened. I did remember seeing like tailings of dirt on the road, but it wasn't anything like very obvious. It just kind of looked like, I was thinking, oh, okay, well, this flooded out. Not even putting one and two together. And it wasn't until we exited at the next exit, but everything seemed normal in that town. Normal. It was still raining. Granted, when I came in, it was raining, but it was more of that annoying like drizzle. It wasn't like hard rain. So there was really like no indications how hard it must have rained for that river to overflow. We got, it was more like a mist kind of rain. It was just very more nuisance than anything else, but you can still drive, which is, I'm not going to complain. I hate it because in Texas, it'll downpour to the point where it's pointless to even run your windshield wipers, because you're not going to see anything. And I've experienced that driving into Houston, and that was not fun. Shoot, raining there, been off and on. Yeah, I guess we caught the tail end of the storm system, because even our stay in San Antonio, we didn't get very much rain. But up until that point, our son said it had been raining consistently. He said that in San Antonio it wasn't like heavy, and he knows heavy rain because he used to live in Houston. And he goes, it was nothing like that. It was just like raining. It was raining for consistently for days. And that could also, that also creates problems, because all that runoff eventually has got to go somewhere, so it's going to find the lowest point, which in this case, I guess, happened to be the Guadalupe River. And I guess it grew. I've heard different stories. I've heard that it grew like 8 feet in height. I've heard in some cases it was like 20 some feet. I don't know. I don't know. I just know what happened, and it was not good. Yeah, those are the bad rains, those downfalls like that, like a garbage of blindness. Yeah, and I don't know if that was the case. I don't know how hard it had been raining. Up to 23 feet. Yeah, well, I know that they were able to rescue a couple of sisters that were stuck in a tree, and they said they were stuck like 27 feet up in the tree. I don't know if that means the girls were able to escalate up to that point, or the water took them up that high. Who knows? But all I know is that it was a really bad situation. I think there was like 100 and some 100 plus people that were missing. The worst part of it was, I guess, that water rushed through that town of Kerrville, and I guess by the riverbanks or near the creek that runs through there, they normally have a like a summer camp, and that's why they had so many casualties, because it, I guess, like at 4 o'clock in the morning, or between 4 and 5, it's when it rushed through there, and obviously nobody's up at that time, so everybody was caught unaware of what was happening. um it was just a tragic event. Some people said that it could have been prevented, others said that it couldn't. Who knows? How do you prevent for something like that? I there I hate it when tragedies happen and then immediately they're trying to pass the blame on, they're trying to find somebody guilty, um eh, and not really focus on the tragedy of the people that were lost. Um so we were when and we were able to go to the coffee place that we wanted to go to, and we're able to get it. I guess that kind of explains a little bit of why the somber attitudes of the employees. We didn't we thought it was kind of weird. We thought it was just probably because it was really early, and the day was raining, and some people just find that not very bright, I guess, and it changes their state of mind. But boy, am I an ass for thinking that they were having a bad day, and me not really understanding what they were dealing with as a community. So, it, yeah, the vibe in town was definitely a downer vibe, and I now it makes perfect sense as to why that was. But anyways, long story short, yeah, we were not part of any of that inclement weather. We were not part of. We didn't have any troubles. I know. I was wondering why I was getting so many calls from families and friends that knew that we were driving up there, saying, "Hey, are you guys okay?" I was like, "Yeah, we're fine." Well, but this is the problem when you don't watch TV, and I was really kind of disconnected from social media, because that was kind of a deal that I had made with my wife, that I have to be very cognizant of of unplugging, and not trying to make everything about content creation and being um, on live streams and stuff like that. I've done it in the past, and I know she gets a little bit annoyed. Um, I My idea is that I do it when there's some downtime where we don't have anything else. But I get her point, because if we're there to connect with the kids. The last thing I need to be spending an hour or two on the phone, um, when I should be really focusing on what the kids are doing and stuff like that. So this time around, I was pretty good. I had told her, there's a couple of things that I wanted to do, and she agreed to that, and I tried to stay on that as much as I could. So I I was totally disconnected. She was more connected to what was going on, because she's the one that kept giving me updates about what had happened in Texas. Hey, Gabriel. Um, what, do you know why I did some reason flooding in Arizona? Because the ground is so. Yeah, we don't get it twisted. I know a few years back, we had this weird storm where, actually, what it was like a couple of weeks of just raining consistently, and then we had a big storm come in, and exactly what you were talking about, the ground absorbing water because it's the desert out here. Well, I got to the point where it got saturated, and we actually had one of our major canals that we used to distribute water from the Colorado River break on us, and that was a big fiasco. But that was like in the early 2000s, or no, like in 2009 or 7, somewhere around there. But that those are like, once in a 50-year events that we get. It's not a they're not as common, thankfully. Yeah, they didn't have any warning signs. Yeah, I guess that's where they're saying that they're kind of trying to put it on the government there, that, but I don't know. Um, how how much of a head time do the sirens give you? It's kind of like, are the sirens blurring when the water is already on top of you, or are you getting an hour heads up? That's the thing, though, because I guess that happens so quick and so early in the morning. People did not have time to react. Uh, I'm about to go fire up hot rod, 77 miles. Well, just you be careful out there, man. Um, Make sure the only thing you're cutting is the lawn, and stay safe. Thanks for being here. Hmm. So we got through there. Uh, we got to San Antonio. My son was the first thing he said. Did you guys experience any problems? Is like, no, we for a road trip, we couldn't ask for a better road trip. It was fine. Um, we didn't have any delays. Traffic was very light the entire time. So no major accidents on Interstate 8, because the problem is if you get a big accident on Interstate 8 where the two lanes get blocked out, then you're stuck. You're just stuck there forever because the highway doesn't have a lot of exits in that area. So you're just sitting there until the accident gets cleared. So overall, we had a very easy. Hey, Lefty. So overall, we had a really easy and smooth drive all the way to San Antonio. So once we were there, I spent the first, the weekend. The whole weekend was kind of planned out for us because we were also going up there because um, we were meeting my son's girlfriend, and I guess they're pretty serious now because we were getting to meet her, and so we got to meet Sarah, lovely lady, um, really cool because she's also a veteran. She was in the army, so we kind of hit it off immediately. Um, and so at the same time, her dad was going to be in town. So we kind of got to meet the family, and it was kind of me and my wife kind of kept looking at each other. What's going on? What are we doing here? Is there going to be a formality of this? That's kind of what kept thinking, playing in the back of my mind. I think it was just coincidence, to be honest, that that her dad was up there and so were we. So we got to meet the in-laws, I guess. And we had a great time. Uh her dad was really cool. We we had some cigars, we had some bourbon, we had a nice evening. Turns out they live also in Arizona, but they live in Bullhead, which is the Arizona side of Laughlin. So they're also on the Colorado River. You know, who would have thought? But they're further up north. They're about maybe a couple hours, hour 45, hour and a half, depending on how fast you drive north of us, um, by Laughlin. So they're basically on the it would be the east bank of the river is Bullhead, west bank of the river is Nevada, which is Laughlin, and so I that was stuff that we were talking about and kind of because we know the river, we were talking about different stuff like that, so we kind of hit it off. I thought we did. um he seemed very likable. I think he thought so the same too. I mean, and so that was like the whole entire weekend was hanging out with them. I did a really interesting miniature golf because I like miniature golf. Oh, my, I'm trying to. There you go. Trying to fix my seat from leaning back. Finally fixed my sleep schedule. I think so. It was up till 8 a.m. instead of 3 p.m. So I guess you're kind of like me, Lefty, I guess, where your schedule was going back and forth. Hmm. So one of the things that we did over the weekend is we were going to go play. Well, we went bowling the first. That was like on Saturday, Friday night. Um, because San Antonio, I guess San Antonio in general doesn't do like a fireworks show, but you can't go. you can't drive more than a block in San Antonio and not come across a fireworks shop. And they got the real fireworks down there in Texas. They're not messing around. They got the stuff that'll blow your house up. Um, so my son, they went and bought fireworks for the kids. So it was just basically sparklers and stuff like that. But the whole neighborhood, the whole neighborhood where they lived, everybody, I mean, the neighbors, like you could look right or left, and they were all lighting all sorts of stuff. So we had our own little private fireworks show in that neighborhood. It got to the point where it seemed like the fog had rolled in because there was so much smoke. It was kind of like, all right, I think I'm going to go inside now. But we did that Friday night for 4th of July. Uh, Luckily, it stopped raining that evening, so we were even fortunate in that aspect where we didn't have, we weren't standing out there lighting fireworks in the rain. So that was Friday night. Saturday, we went bowling. That was fun. We had a pretty large group. We had, Sarah's family there, and then we had, Adam had us and all the grandkids. And she has a young little boy named Riker. Really cool kid. I had a blast with him. So, we were hanging out with 3 kids and a bunch of adults. And then from there, after the bowling, what did we do? We went out for dinner, all together. We went and had dinner. And I think after that, we kind of retired for the evening. But by that time, we were tired. I mean, we had been up and down and doing all this stuff. And so we ended up going home. On Sunday, they had scheduled to do, I guess Saturday originally, they wanted to go do like miniature golf. And I was thinking, the miniature golfs that I've gone to, it's kind of like windmills, clown mouths, booby traps you're trying to get through, that kind of stuff, kind of like the stuff you saw in Karate Kid, that's the miniature golf that I'm used to going to. But we ended up going basically to uh it almost looked like a miniature golf course. I mean, it was so ridiculous because I kind of started laughing internally when we showed up. It's called Pop Stroke. That's the name of the business. I was trying to go on to bed till 6 a.m. Oh, okay. And it's called Pop Stroke. I didn't even bother looking it up. I thought it was just, whatever. Well, we get there and you see all these people decked out like in golfing attire. So I guess this is like miniature golf for like real golfers. Uh it was just like, it was a whole experience. These people were taking their miniature golf way too seriously. For a minute there, I thought they were going to have little golf carts to go around the 18. They have 2 18 hole courses in that place, so it's pretty big. It's not a small venue. And and then they have these gigantic scoreboards. I mean, people get real serious. I knew something was up when we show up and Sarah's dad has got like this professional style putter. And I guess that's one of the options when you pay for your round of miniature golf. They have the standard, with the putters you normally see at a mini golf, just looks like a little peanut on a stick. And then you had the upgrade, for who was the this is it's a major golfing brand that these series of because there's several. I started looking it up after we got there. I said, what's this? So I looked it up. They have one in Vegas. They have one in Scottsdale, and they had a few different locations. But it's when I started looking at it, it's like, oh, this makes sense. It's in the uppity, ritzy areas of the cities where you're gonna find these. This is not your let's take the kids to the putt thing. This is like a bunch of grown men that are too lazy to go golfing in a big course, and they just want to do the greens. They don't want to have to. They don't want to have to drive. They don't have to do the whole thing because it's hot. And so we get there and it's like, wow, and we form up teams or whatever. But it got to a point where it's like, I'm not going to keep score because they give you a little scorecard and then, uh, it's an app on your phone. That's what it was. It was an app on your phone and you update. And as you're progressing through the course, you're competing with other. I was like, no, this is supposed to be fun. I'm not here for competition. But some people in our group were very serious about very, very serious about scores and how many strokes. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna bite. I'm competitive. You know what? I used to be very, very competitive when I was younger, to the point where it's kind of a little bit toxic. Uh, Now that I've gotten older, I've lightened up a little bit. I'm more about having fun and enjoying what I'm doing than getting caught up in my competitive state. That never. I mean, I, I guess it served its purpose at its time, but now it's like, nah, this is supposed to. I'm with the grandkids. How retarded is it to get so competitive with your grandkids around? I was like, why? And then why am I would try to compete with other people on this course? Well, who knows if they're lying or being honest about? I said, you know what, forget it. So I quit keeping score. We just had a fun. Um, you know, I I don't know what some of these had. A lot of these were set up for like 3 to 4 strokes per per I guess green, if you want to call it, because they did have difficulties, but it didn't have any of the amusement obstacles. So that in that point it was a little bit disappointing. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Girl Gone Nano. Hey, Girl Gone Nano, how you doing? Thanks for being here. And so that was that. And then once that was like the entire first weekend. After that, um, I think on Monday, I'm trying to remember what day it was that I went out. I think on Monday or Tuesday is when I went to Fantastics. No, Fincredible Aquatics. Now, prior to me going to San Antonio, I got on the Facebook group that they have for San Antonio, and that was originally where the club was doing all their postings and stuff for events that they were having. And so I reached out. I said, because I had gone to a couple of fish stores in my previous trips. I went to a place that Eddie had recommended called the Water Gem Garden, and really, really interesting place. But I've come to find out right now they're kind of like in transition, I guess. Difference of opinions of partners, I guess. But what made the store very, very unique and interesting, it's really started out as a outdoor pond kind of facility, and they had partnered up with somebody that was building a fish store because they had the square footage inside the store. Hey, Scotty. And so they had the square footage to do in there, so they started putting other other types of fish, aquarium fish inside. So they were serving two communities. They were servicing the goldfish and koi community, which they had some beautiful koi. If you go watch that video, you'll see them. And they're huge. There must have been like 30-inch, pushing on 36-inch kois. I mean, amazing kois. Um, so that one I had already done. And then one day on a whim, I went to go check out the Lone Star Aquariums because we were running some errands. This is on previous trips. My wife and I were running some errands, and I happened to catch the store front when we were going there. I told my wife, "Hey, I want to be able to come back and check out that store." That's the one that I did with my grandson, and I think me and him are on the. No, we're not in. I don't remember we're in the thumbnail or not, but it's called Lone Star Aquariums. It's a very young guy that's the store owner, and he had just taken it over, and he had some. He it was they had some salt water, and they had some fresh water, and that's when I discovered the dwarf. Um, is it like a they called it a Fu Manchu lionfish. It's kind of become my favorite saltwater fish because it looks like a lionfish, but it's way excuse me, way smaller This one happened to be maroon in color with some white striping on it. Really cool looking fish. I think Curtis from Skull Aquatics has kept them in the past, and they're an ambush kind of fish. So they'll sit on top of an area, wait for something to swim by, and then they'll leap on it. And so that's where I found that. That was like my favorite fish that I saw in that store. So that's kind of one of those. Maybe down the road I'll be able to keep something like that. Iron Ram Fish Company. Hey, thanks for dropping in. I'm just kind of talking about our trip to San Antonio and kind of the stuff that I got to do up there. So, anyways, I had reached out to the people in the group because I've started to make some acquaintances from that group because I've spent, I guess, a little bit of time in San Antonio. And so they recommended a few spots. I wasn't able to get to all of them. And I'm really kind of disappointed I didn't really get to go to another fish room that I wanted to do. JT, Justin Turner, he was my last guest that I had on my live stream before going to San Antonio. And I was supposed to meet up with him and I was supposed to check out his fish room. But just times and stuff like that we didn't coincide. So I didn't get to go. I got to meet him in person because he lives in close proximity to Fincredibles Aquariums, which is Nicole. That's the young lady that runs that business, because it is a business. They were suggested also in the comments. There was another Elegant Reef was also suggested, and there was another gentleman who sells, I can't remember the name of the store, but it's reptiles and fish, and he's more towards the west side of San Antonio. Elegant Reef and Justin and Fincredibles are all kind of like the north side of San Antonio. And for those of you, I'm starting to learn this. Well, I kind of knew it, but I'm starting to get used to the fact the way the cities, the metro areas in Texas, the way they're set up is there's a center downtown, and then from the center of downtown they kind of build a loop, a freeway loop around it. So if you look at the cities in Texas on the map, if you go to Google Maps or whatever, and you get to a point where you can see the city, they kind of set it up like bullseye, and the center of it being downtown, and then you have these rings of interstates that loop all around them. And depending on how big the city's growing, they keep adding these perimeter freeways. So it took me a little while. I wish I knew you were coming to Texas. Maybe next time, make it this way. Yeah, definitely, Scotty. I'll definitely have to make a trip to Austin. I was trying to get up there, but I was kind of running out of time and kind of wearing on my wife's patience because I was trying to do more than I had promised that I was going to do. Because I didn't tell her that I wanted to go do Mike's New Local Austin's fish room. I was going to do one of those, what is it? Don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness kind of thing. But when I tried to pull that one off, she gave me a look that I said, yeah, you better stay put. You don't want to ruin a good trip. So, my feed is starting to I don't know what's going on, but all of a sudden I'm starting to have the same issue with the signal okay, now it went away. That is interesting. Why does it do that? Because on my computer, I have full strength from the Wi-Fi. Something's going off with the application. Maybe because I'm using the free, that they're messing around, or too many people are using it, or I don't know what's going on. But for some odd reason, all of a sudden I started getting the same indications that I was getting yesterday. So I don't know if that's going to be an issue this afternoon. Hopefully it's not. I don't think it glitched, but it gave me that feedback up here on, you're not seeing this, but in my upper left hand corner, there's a time counter for the live stream, and then it tells me how many people are watching the live stream. And when the signal starts getting weak, I start getting the Wi-Fi indicator, and it was almost down at the last bar. And I was like, "Oh shit!" But it went away now. I don't know why it does that, and it's got nothing to do. Hey, Janet, Jesse, Jay, thanks for dropping in. It's got nothing to do with my feed because I'm looking at the signal on my computer and it's strong. So that's got to be a StreamYard thing. Hey, Mark. So, anyways, so being the suggestion, so I was able to, thanks to JT or Justin Turner, he was able to help me coordinate the visitation to Fincredible. Amazing little business that she's got set up in there, and it's really amazing how quickly, because she's only been in business for about a year, how quickly it's grown, how well organized, and a lot of thought had been put into that fish room. Part of it is probably because her husband's an engineer, and engineers tend to overthink things and overbuild stuff. But it was an amazing little fish room. I mean, I was surprised how much she was doing out of there. Um, we were running long a little bit, and my wife was waiting in the car because she wasn't feeling good. Initially, I was going to go up there by myself, but she decided she wanted to go, and I felt like I was going a little bit too long. Um, and I was kind of like, because there was more stuff that I wanted to be able to capture, like everything in the tanks, because she had some really neat fish. They look very healthy. Um, some of the healthiest fish that I've ever seen for sale, other than people keeping them in their own aquariums. Hi, Larry. Hope you're having a good. Or you've been listening. Just got some business. Okay, no problem, Janet. Is anybody else in the house streaming stuff? No, just my wife. She's probably watching TV. But yesterday I had turned off all. Other than the TV, we had turned off all the Wi-Fi's for stuff that we weren't using. Because there's a lot of stuff that gets connected, but that was not the issue. The issue I'm finding out now that the issue is not with my Wi-Fi; it's with StreamYard. They're the ones that are either throttling down based on how many people are using it. Because I'm using the free app. I'm not going to pay for the ridiculous. I used to pay when they were reasonable. I think I was paying like $20 a month. Now they've upped it to, it's not even like they upped it up $5. They went up to like 35, and you have to buy the whole year to get that rate. Because if you don't, then you're paying like 40 something a month, which is, unless if I was doing this professionally, I guess, and I had a big channel, that wouldn't be a big deal. But I don't feel like I want to pay that much for a service. So that's kind of the bullet that I've got to bite. Um, you know, I've people have recommended Restream as an alternative. So depending of how bad this continues to get, I might have to consider that option. Um, I like this. I would have been able to do it on the vertical live stream on YouTube, but I wanted to test the StreamYard because I got Mike from New Local Austin this afternoon, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't having the same issues I was having like I was yesterday with Creekwood Aquatics. So that's why I'm kind of doing this right now. But anyways, going back to Nicole's business, it's amazing how much they're doing there. I've really liked her story. She's very easy to talk to because she has a lot to say, and it's not just for the sake of speaking. I mean, she had quite a bit to tell. Surprisingly, that is by far the best performance video that I've done. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's all the people in San Antonio that are watching it. I haven't been able to pinpoint what it was about that video in particular. I've never had a video in a week span do over 1,000 views. If you go look right now, I think it's up to 2,000. I thought I saw that. It is something ridiculous. I've never had anything that I've ever done as a video do that well. I don't know if it was because it was her fish room. I've done store tours. As a matter of fact, the one for Elegant Reef, that even that one's doing a lot better than with my normal videos. My videos normally will do in a week about 200 views. That's that's my typical um kind of, even live streams and all that stuff. It's about 200, 250 views in about a week. The normal performance for my videos. That video, I don't know what it was. I think it's a combination of things. I don't know if it's the thumbnail, because I took it from, standing outside of her garage. You can tell that it's a garage. I don't know if it's a combination of that, because I didn't think the thumbnail was anything special. It's not anything way outside of what I normally do for a thumbnail. Um, I'm kind of curious. I'm really curious as to what it was about that video that made it perform so well. Is it because I'm out in San Antonio? Um, Maybe you guys can give me some feedback of what it was about that video or that thumbnail or all that stuff that really intrigued you. I know most of you guys watch my videos anyways because you guys support me. So it would be kind of hard. Um, you guys are my normal viewers, so but I'm really curious as to what it was. I did post it. What I did do, I did post it on TikTok, and I posted it maybe like the first, because I think it was like a 30-second clip, and because you can't upload the entire video, so as a teaser, basically, kind of like a short, the introduction to it. And I think it was able to capture up enough into where I start walking into the garage and then it cuts out. I did post it on the club's website, and so did Nicole and Justin. So I don't know. It's a combination of having several people put it out there. I just can't explain what it is, because to me, it doesn't really seem uh, anything very different than what I usually do. It wasn't like I was. Um, I don't know. I just can't put my finger on it. But then again, that's what they've always said. YouTube is weird. You never know what's gonna take off and what isn't. Um, I know for me, the very first tour that I did of my own fish room was just on a whim, because I didn't. I was that's when I was trying to grow my channel, and I was trying to put out a video a week, because that's what I had heard that you should do to get consistency in the algorithm. That video, I remember I was had just gotten up, didn't have a clue as to what I wanted to do. And I remember Steve, Warrior Planet Tanks, had said, "Yeah, you're gonna do one of them ridiculous fish room tours, just to do a video." And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And it was just kind of like on a whim. And that video was probably one of the better performing videos that I had up until that point on my channel. And there wasn't anything special about that video. It was just me kind of showing. It was, my videos. That video was no different than any other video, other than the fact that it was the first time I think I was showing all the tanks, because I had been showing tanks individually, and that time I think I went through and I did all my tanks in one video, and it was doing well. But that was my first video that ever reached, I think, 1,000 views, but it was over the course of like several months. And that was pretty excited about that. For me, it was a curiosity of other small businesses that run out of their home to do things. I'm always curious. Yes. I guess I get that appeal, because that was the reason I wanted to go there in the first place. Um, and especially because I knew that they were a business. So most of the times you go to homes and you get to see their fish room, but it's their fish room, and they'll do some stuff like sell at swaps and stuff like that, or at fish clubs. But she was a full blown business, and that's what was really cool. She was doing a lot of the big events that are there in Texas. She did Aquashella, she did Aquarium Nation. Uh, there's a big event coming up in the 27th of July, I want to say it is, in San Antonio. Uh, she's going to participate in that. It seems like Creekwood Aquatics is also participating on that, and that's something that Justin, JT Aquariums, Aquatics or Aquariums. I better correct that. Let me check. But it's Justin Turner. But I know he's kind of rebranding his channel to. Oh no, it's on. Oh, I don't have Facebook on this phone. He's kind of rebranding his channel to his business, I guess, and he's kind of putting together this event. They're going to have some vendors. This is what I was talking to Nelson yesterday. That I think for places that don't have established fish clubs, this is a way, I guess, to really get a ground base to be able to create a fish club, because you create that excitement by doing these swaps, because the whole idea is to be able to go see what you can find. You want to go look what's available, and it's a great place to score usually a good deal on equipment. If you're looking for aquariums, I know the one up here in Phoenix, you get some really good deals on some used equipment, which is mostly what people are looking to get into. Excuse me. You're especially us that have multiple tanks. If you can score a decent sized aquarium for about 50 cents on the gallon, why not? It'll give you be able to do something else. So that's and it starts generating like a culture of people that come together. And if you have it done successfully, I still believe that doing it every month is not a good idea, because it allows people to skip. It allows people to say, I won't go to this month, I'll go to next month. And then you start having multiple people doing that and your numbers start dropping. I think to me, and I haven't done this, but it seems like the sweet spot would be about every 4 times a year. What is it? 4 times a year would be every 4 months. Just so that oh wait, no, it'd be every 3 months, every quarter, because it's still long enough time in between where you don't want to miss it, the next one that's coming up, because then you're having to wait 6 months before you can go attend another one. But it also has to be pretty enticing, because if there isn't anything there, it's a tricky balance. I don't know. Is you want to be able to want people to come out. Now, the other thing is you can also avoid like inclement weather. Like I know when I had Adelina, she wanted to do the one up in Phoenix every month. In the winter, you can do that. You could probably pull that off, because our winters are not very bad. It gets very pleasant in the afternoons. You could probably get away with not necessarily running heaters in the aquariums that people when they take livestock, because it'll get high 60s, low 70s on most winter days. Summer is where it gets tricky, and even spring, middle of spring, late spring, you're not going to be able to do anything out there or get people to go out, because you're already in the hundreds. By late spring, you're consistently hitting 90 some degrees, and not too many people want to go out and walk around in that kind of weather. And then she was talking about doing indoor events. The problem is, in a place like Phoenix, you try to do an indoor event, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, because everybody is moving indoors and trying to do stuff indoors. So it makes it very difficult. I think Adelina needs to revisit that, in my opinion, and do 4 events in a year where she can pull off the spring, the winter, the fall. The spring and the fall could probably be held outdoors, no issues. The winter one, um, it's a lot easier to find a building where you don't necessarily have to run heating or air conditioning uh, to be able to pull that off. And the summer, then you're just limited to having to find a venue in the summer that's air conditioned. And then you could save up all your, the proceeds from the rest of the other three shows to be able to pay for that one, because that's probably going to be your most expensive venue. It's going to be the summer one, because libraries and stuff like that, they're not going to let you do that. You're not going to be able to find any public venues that will allow you to do that. So it gets pretty tricky. Texas, I know you guys complain about heat. It's different. I was telling my wife I kind of enjoyed myself this entire time, and it was points where it was getting up like in the 90s. Humidity in San Antonio is not bad. It's very tolerable. I don't know what the humidity index was, but you could feel it, but I wasn't sweating. So to me, that's a big win. I never felt like you could feel the stickiness a little bit. But I was never drenched in sweat. I was never just like my clothes is soaking. Um, and that's because there's been loads of storms here. Usually it's way hotter. Yeah, but what are you talking about? Way hotter. I've been in San Antonio. Every time we go to San Antonio, it's in the summer and it's not bad. I can walk around. I can walk. My biggest pet peeve out here in Arizona, I hate it. I don't mind. I mean, let me clear this because I don't want you to think it's like, oh, I'm being ridiculous. If I know I'm working outside and I'm dressed in sweat, I don't care because I'm working. If I'm doing maintenance, yard maintenance, if I'm doing anything that I'm doing outside, I don't care if I'm sweating because I am working. I despise getting ready to go out and do something nice where I'm wearing my nicer clothes. I'm trying to wear cologne because I want to smell nice. And the minute I hit outside, I'm drenched in sweat. That's the part where I despise our summers, because everything is so freaking hot that by the time the AC starts cooling off, it takes it about a good 10 minutes of driving around in this heat. So by the time you get to where you're going, you're already, I feel nasty because I'm trying to go eat at a restaurant, but yet I feel like I've been working outside. That's the part of the summer that I hate about Arizona. Um, all right, Gabriel. Uh, so that's the part that I despise. That I've never experienced that in Texas. I don't know if it's because I'm coming from Arizona where my tolerance to heat is way higher, and because I never find myself being drenched in sweat walking from the house to the car, from the car to the restaurant. Um, Down here, my wife knows, and she already tells me, "Oh, you're gonna get all upset and get in a bad mood," because I get cranky. I'm a horrible person to be around when it's like that, and it only happens when I know I'm trying to go somewhere nice. Um, and I hate that. And so far that hasn't been my experience in Texas. And I've been up there on different times of the year, not this year that it was just very very rainy and stuff like that. Were you pretty you were pretty silly. Yeah. Uh no, I don't think I was cranky. I might have been smelly, but not cranky. Uh Eh, but yeah, no, that to me is a walk in the park. That's no big problem. Um, yeah, no, that's the only time where I don't hate that. I mean, I don't like that, and it's only because I know that I'm supposed to go to an event. Like we'll have a lot of uh family functions and stuff like that, and I don't know. I hate it. That's the only time where I don't look forward to going out. Other than that, if I'm working in the fish room, I'm working in the garage, I'm working around the house, doing anything else, I don't care. I mean, I've worked outdoors most of my life. So sweat is, being getting those salt rings around your clothing because you've been out there all day. It's not that bad. And yeah, Mark said, and I think that's what I've heard. San Antonio seems to hit it's the lesser of all the evils, I guess. It doesn't get too cold, it doesn't get too hot, it doesn't get too humid. I guess they're kind of where they're situated is not too bad. Because I know when we went up for my son's graduation was in July also. No, it was in May. It was in May, so that was in summer. We did the river walk, the traditional stuff you do when you first go to San Antonio, and that wasn't that bad. I heard people complaining that it was really hot. My wife and I were just kind of like giving people side eye when they were saying it was hot. I don't remember what it was. I know that we were getting fried on the grandstands because we were sitting in there exactly when the sun was hitting right directly over us. But even then, it wasn't that bad. It's not like trying to sit out here at an open venue event in Yuma in well, May's getting up there. But I think more than anything else, it was because there were so many people around us that he even felt a little bit more uncomfortable. But even that wasn't too bad. Um, so, anyways, I got to go see Nicole's fish room. I love the fact that she's got I like what she was doing with her kids to try to teach them business management. I thought that was very interesting. There were some, she was telling me some other stories that she didn't bring on camera. Or I guess her youngest, that turns out to be a better business person than she thought it would be. But that's a story that I'll let her tell. But I thought that was really funny and interesting. So I got to do that. Unfortunately, I was running kind of late in the day that day, and we had other commitments with the family. We had to go out for dinner, and so I wasn't able to go see Justin's fish room. And then the following, that was on a Monday, because Tuesday he starts working, and I guess his job requires him to be. He works like 12-hour days, and sometimes they get held over. So it made it very difficult to go back and try to see his fish room. So that might be something that I might have to do on the next trip to San Antonio. And then after that, I thought I was done pretty much, because at that point I had kind of mentioned to my wife that I wanted to go to Austin to get away for the day, and she kind of wasn't having it. But I hadn't given her a heads up from the beginning. I was trying to pull a quick one to do that, and so I was like, I'm not. She really didn't like that idea. We will be in Houston in mid-August for the Texas Area Kili Organization show. Isn't that done at a house? I know Steve was live streaming last year, and it looked like somebody's back porch and living room where they were holding this event, which I thought that was kind of interesting and cool. But it wasn't necessarily like it's strictly killifish enthusiast, and I guess it's a good opportunity to have get your hands on some rare killifish. I think the Kili Shack was there. What's his name? It's slipping my mind. It's in the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember his name. Devin? Is it Devin? I think it's Devin. Was also, I think, at that event. I think he was a speaker at that event where he was talking about the Northrop killifish, I think. I live streamed last year at the auction. Yes, it was in someone's house. Yeah, it was very, very different. I had never seen anything like that. I just thought it was interesting that they were doing it in the house. And I guess the gentleman's house is he's a big time killifish. Devin Espinosa, yeah. Yeah, yeah. It was very interesting. But is that really open? That's not open to the public. That's only the club members, right? That you have to be a participant of that organization to be able to attend. That'd be cool if you could do another live stream from there because I the last one was very interesting, um, especially because they really get into the weeds when it comes to the killifish. Um, so you know, I don't know if they'll let you do it again or not, but that was kind of cool that you shared that. And what was it? Oh, so I thought, okay, I'm kind of done with being able to. That whole trip to Austin was kind of shut down. Luckily, Mike reached out to me and he goes, dude, if you can't come, I'll go down to San Antonio and hang out with you. So that was a great opportunity. I didn't think we were going to do as much as what we did that day. Um, but I'm glad Mike decided to come down. He came down Wednesday morning. We met up. I had found a I found a cigar lounge um, that happened to be right next to the mini golf course that we had done on Sunday. And it's a international cigar international or international cigar. I forget what the name. I think it's Cigar International. They were a company that I was familiar with because I would buy cigars from them online. That's how I knew them as an online store. So to my surprise, when I saw that they actually had a lounge, and obviously after the we did the golf stuff, I told my wife, I need to. Can we go in there and just check it out real quick? They have a really really nice setup there. It's probably one of the biggest humidors I've ever been in because it's a whole store. And then they had attached to it a really nice bar, some really nice lounge seats, a great outdoor patio area. I mean, they did a tremendous job with setting these up. And I guess they have multiple locations. I knew they were originally out of Pennsylvania because every time I ordered cigars, they come out of Pennsylvania. So I had no idea they were on the West Coast too. So that was a real pleasant surprise. So when Mike said, and this came out of him, I wasn't even thinking about doing cigars. He goes, dude, I'll come down there. We'll have a cigar, we'll have a drink. And I was like, oh shit. Just so happens to know the best spot we can do that. So I was super happy that he was willing to come down and hang out with me. So we met up at the cigar lounge and we sat there and we talked about for about an hour, hour and a half, almost 2 hours, just sitting there shooting the shit and having, we drank some beers and we had some cigars. And after we got done with that, we went. There happened to be a really nice noodle restaurant, um, so like a ramen shop. So we went and had lunch there, and I was like, I thought I was pushing the envelope by what? What is that? Oh, that's an unboxing I do. My wife is bringing me some packages. I think one of them. This is this is the fish room punk. So this is I need to do an unboxing on that. That's one of the booster packs. And this one is food. This is punks. Uh this is I ordered some more food from him. And so I got those two. I mean, I don't know about I guess I definitely have to do. Here's the thing. I'm going everywhere and nowhere at the same time. With the booster box, I know what it looks like. You all know what it looks like. I'm I'm kind of my wife brought me the knife. She goes, unbox it. um, the problem with the fish room punk stuff is I'm really in a collector's mode kind of mentality. What do I mean by that? I have baseball cards that I have from when I was a kid. Rip that package open. That's the thing. As a collector, I know that the value of this increases threefold if I never open it. If I never open it, it'll automatically be worth three times as much of whatever it is. On the downside, I never get to enjoy it for me. So I really have to make the decision, what am I doing? Now that Kyle has said that these are a very limited run, that he's not going to be doing the booster boxes on a regular basis, my collector-itis mode goes, don't open it. Don't open it, because the longer it goes without being open and the least of it that there are, the more in value it's going to create. Because I know this shit's going to take off. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen, maybe a year down from the road, but he's on to something pretty big. And that's where my reptile brain goes, don't open it, hang on to it, because in about, maybe 10 years from now, that will be worth way, way, way more much money, because it's unopened. Same reason why all these other collector products out there are worth so much more if they're unopened. But yeah, I haven't made up my mind. I haven't even opened up the stickers that I bought from him, because I'm sitting on the same thing, even though there's a lot more of those available. But also what he said, more than likely, that'll be the last time you're going to be able to get the series, the complete series, if I bought them the way I did. What if you have the golden card? Then it's going to be worth more. And it's going to be easy to figure out, because if nobody else has gotten the golden card, then guess who has it? It's the one that hasn't been opened. So that in itself right there, it's almost making it to where I don't want to open it. Because if he made 20. So this is one of 20. I know Stefan opened his, Brandon opened his, so that's already 2. So there's only 18 out there that we don't know what's in them. I don't know who else got them. I never asked them. But eventually, if they're doing the competition or doing that thing that he said about the 27th, eventually we're going to know who's got the golden ticket. If it doesn't come up on those other 19 that are out there, then guess who has the golden ticket? Wait it out. There's no rush. I'm like Don's been around a while to know collectibles are worth a lot more when they're not open. It's the whole reason why they do these Pokemon unboxings and stuff like that. Although that's a bigger brand and there's redundancy and that's a whole different. I guess you can actually use them as a game. It really doesn't matter. You got the golden ticket, hold on to it. You see, I was thinking about just waiting it out. There's a Pokemon collector called Deep Pocket Monster. He has a jingle. Should I open it or should I keep it sealed? He's almost never keeps it sealed, neither should you. So I am in no hurry. Like I said, I've got baseball cards from when I was collecting them as a kid that I've never. I bought a complete box set and it's still sitting up there from it was a Knopf company. It wasn't Topps, it wasn't Fleer. I think it's Bowman. And it's a complete set that I've got. Never been curious to open the box. So I was able to hang on to that for 30 plus years. 39, not quite 30, 20, 25 years. It's sitting there. It's still sitting there. It was sitting on my parents for the longest time because I moved out and I left it there. And it wasn't until maybe about 4 years ago that my mom was cleaning out that the closet that we had in that bedroom because she wanted to put some stuff. She goes, "What do you want to do with this stuff?" I was like, "Oh, don't throw it away." So I went and picked it up. That's why I have it now. And then I still have cards that I had collected. I know at one time, this is a different, I'm not going to bore you with that, but I've got some rookie cards for some Hall of Fame pitchers that at the time, nobody knew that they were going to do that. It's just coincidence that I happen to keep them. So yeah, that's the only reason why I haven't done. I've gotten his t-shirt. It's still in a bag. I haven't worn it. I bought all the series that he had on the stickers that were available at the time, because I think from now on he's just doing randos. He's not doing complete series. And that's the other thing with me. I like having complete sets, and I hate having to hunt for sets. And then also what he had said that by buying the booster club, you were more than likely to be able to get the complete original sets of cards. And if he does boosters again, I'm definitely going to buy one, and that one I might open. I should have really bought two, but I didn't pull the trigger on it quick enough. Um, on this one, I was kind of also trying to see if I could be the what was it 1,000 order. I was uh, or he had a milestone that or I think it was 100 orders or I don't know what it was, but I missed it by a little bit. So that would have even made it more significant to me because it's kind of like the story. You're selling the story. That's really what you're doing. And so yeah, it's still sitting in its even original. You can see it's still sealed. I have not opened it. Uh, and fun stuff I can open. I'm not going to do a video on this stuff. It's just food. So let's do a little promo spot for Aquafunk. I had bought originally the micro food that he was selling, and this time I can't remember how much I bought. Oh shit! Okay, so I guess I got 3 bags, so I'm set for the rest of the year. It's just kind of cool. I think this is really cool that these personal notes. I think this is a real nice touch. It's a very personal touch. I always it always makes it a little bit more significant, I guess, when you buy something from a small business. These are things you're never going to see from a big company. If you order from who's Tetra Foods or who's another big they're not going to give you this personal stuff. Yeah, and I really appreciate that. The fact that you're taking the time to acknowledge the fact that as a consumer, you're putting in there a personal touch, and and it just makes it that much more special. I know Roxy does something very similar to this. Who else have I gotten stuff from that really Dee Dee does stuff like that all the time too when she sends stuff out. It really makes it a lot more personable, I guess. It just kind of it's that, and it's if you notice, these are all women that are running businesses that that understand, I guess, the psychology of buyers that makes it yes sir, my granddaughter doesn't let me be in the laptop. Yeah, it changes it. So this is what I got from Funk. Me and him have been having this conversation back and forth. I can't remember where it was the first time that I heard this. But it was something that I've been unintentionally doing in my fish room. You always hear about how fish have really small stomachs and that we typically tend to overfeed, especially like when we do flakes and we do pellets, especially when you do like the big pellets for big fish. More often than not, you hear about issues, especially with the bigger fish, when you feed them a lot of the pellets. And I think a lot of it is because we're not doing pellets necessarily correctly. And I mean, for the most part, and I've been guilty of this. The idea of pellets, the way they were designed, is that you're supposed to pre-soak them. And the reason you're doing that is because you're trying to have them expand. And that's to try to avoid them from expanding in the animal stomach. I don't know how much of this is true or not. This is all information that I've heard from all the videos that I've watched. And I can't remember who was saying this. But especially with the big fish, because you buy the bigger millimeter pellets that if you don't let them soak up a lot of that that moisture and you overfeed, that's where you get a lot of the issues with blout because then they'll consume that whole pellet and it'll go into their stomach. I think it's something we all figured it out on our own, fish keepers over time. Yeah, but I remember hearing a conversation very particular to this, but I can't remember. I watch so much stuff that I lose track of who I'm watching and who's saying this and who's doing this. But I see it more often than not where with Oscars, arowanas, your bigger body fish, where they just toss a bunch of pellets and because they like seeing how the fish, go after them. And usually, for the most part, if you're not really overfeeding, it's not that big of an issue. But occasionally, you'll have, especially when you have the problem is when you have a lot of monster fish, and you have some that are greedier than other or bigger than other. It's not uncommon where you see where they're trying to feed them, and they continue to feed the tank because they're trying to feed a fish that's not getting to them, and then and fish are not very conscious of. Corey say we're not feeding them enough. We need to buy more food. They'll continue to eat and eat and eat and eat, and that could become a problem. So taking a little bit of that, I decided one day, okay, I don't have monster fish. The biggest fish that I do have currently are probably my angelfish, which are full adults, and they're probably the actual body size on them is about probably 3 inches. They're not like Ultima Angels where they have a huge body, but about 80% of all the fish that I have are live bears, and so they're not very big. So instead of me having to have a separate food for for the angelfish, I decided I'm going to feed everybody the same thing, and I've been feeding point five, point five, no point zero five, no 0.5 millimeters pellet size, and to everything. The only difference is like for the angelfish, I'll feed a little bit more because there's more of them in there. There's probably about 25 angelfish in there. Um, so I'll feed them a little bit more, but everything else, I'm just feeding. I don't care. I have swordtails, which are probably pushing about 3.5 inches. I'm feeding them the same thing to all of them, and I'm noticing I don't have any issues as far as blood is concerned. Now, what's taking me time to adjust is the amount of food that I'm putting, and I'm finding out that I need to feed a lot less than what I thought I was feeding, because I'm learning that fish will continue to eat no matter how much you put in there. So for this longest time, I've been, pretty much overfeeding a lot of them because I would be, even though there were smaller pellets, I was throwing in way too much. And recently, I've tried where what I would normally think is a normal amount, I've been purposely cutting it in half. And I've noticed that my fish are not going hungry. They're thriving, and I'm not having any issues as far as water parameters or anything like that. So I've gotten to the point now where e- even my bigger body fish, I'm still giving them smaller smaller pallet size food, and it's working out pretty good for me. Yes, I see that problem all the time within the big boys. There's a process to get food to the bottom. Yeah, and like I said, if you soak dry food, it'll sink a little bit quicker. It'll allow it to get down to the bottom. But I'm finding out, but I don't have it. I see. I wish I had bigger cichlids to try to test this theory to see if they would still thrive if I even continue to give them the smaller pellets. Um, but hey, Cheryl, thanks for dropping in. So that's something I don't have. I don't have big fish. So, and my goldfish are still relatively small. Maybe when they start getting a little bit bigger, I'll start trying that. But I don't see that being a problem. I've seen where people feed brine shrimp to bigger fish and they eat it. they just consume a little bit more. So, oh, well, getting back to Funk's food. Um, so I ordered again, but I like that he has this mix where it goes from like 2 millimeter to 4 millimeter. And so this is the one that I got this time because I want to try it out. The pellets are still very small though. They're not. Hey, Funk, you're here. Is this point 2 to 0.4 millimeters, or is it 2 millimeter to 4 millimeter? Because okay, yeah, I see it. He's got little sticks. I like the fact that he's taking the trouble out of having to buy multiple size foods, and he's pretty much put it all in one package. So you can feed in a community tank, and that was the one thing that Funk always kept telling me is he would get tired of having to mix containers and stuff like that. He just said, "I wish I would just had one product where I can just it automatic comes like that, and I can feed everybody in the tank." My big guys don't care what size the food is. The food is food. Yeah, um, yeah. That's kind of what I my gut instincts told me that it doesn't really matter. Do you fast your fish? I usually do one day on the weekend. I try to feed every other day, so I don't know if you could consider that a fasting or not. I guess it is. I mean, if you don't eat every day, um, I can imagine if I went 24 hours, that would definitely be a fast. Um, so yes, I see that with the Big Pro Mix, and I've been feeding it to my fish, and they're all loving it. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. I know a lot of people have bought this stuff, um, so I wanted to try it, and the reason I went with this one is because I want to see what the angelfish, because but it still works just as fine. And then I went back, I couldn't help myself, and I got the smaller stuff, but this time I got it in a bigger bag because the first time I thought I was buying this size bag, I didn't see um, how many ounces it was on it. Uh, and I don't know, and I think that was the one thing that I had told Funk if he could address because I don't think it said the ounces. And the other thing is he's putting in way more food than what he says he's selling you. He's not selling you short. He's there is no void in this freaking package. If I open it, food might potentially spill out of this thing. He's really, really, really packing the hell out of that food in there. So I bought two of the smaller ones because again, I'm going to continue to. This is what I've been doing. This has worked for me. Um, I've already gone through the food that I bought from him. So now I think I have enough now for the rest of the year. Definitely, probably for a few months. Um, but it's been working good. I mean, I used to buy all my food from Ken's Fish. That's where I got all my stuff. The other thing about this food, Funk is doing this specifically within having people in mind that have fish rooms that have to do multiple tanks. Um, I mean, I guess a regular hobbyist with one tank could also buy them, but if you only have one tank, this is entirely too much food. I mean, I'm not saying don't buy it. What I would say is take a small portion of this and freeze the rest and keep it in the freezer. And as you go through the food, then you can continue to use it because if you sit this on the shelf after you open it, it's going to go bad. It's all fish food will eventually, once you open up the package, it's gonna get air in there and it's gonna start decomposing and it's gonna lose its potency. Um, so it's one of those things where he's really because me and him have gone back and forth because we do have fish rooms, and he was like, "Dude, I don't see anything out there for people with fish rooms," and he's trying to fill that void. Um, he's trying to make sure that he's got a real reasonable price product for people with multiple fish tanks, and I think he's nailed it. I mean, the food is good. Like I said, I was buying Ken's fish food. Um, this this is either as good, if not better, and the pricing is, you know, is very comparable. I guess it actually I think it's a little bit cheaper when it's all said and done with the shipping and everything. Getting it from Jay. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, he told me he was going to do this instead of putting all this information on the bag. Um, if you do the barcode the QR, what do you call this? QRQ code? Is that right? Well, anyways, if you scan that, that's going to give you all the information pertaining to this food. It'll have see, what do you got back here? I've never really read this. It says aquarium, no, tropical aquarium fish food for ornamental fish only. Do not use this for any other purpose. Fuck, who the hell's eating this stuff? Who's going to have this as a snack? It's unfortunate that you have to do that disclaimer, though. I get it. Because if you don't put it on there, you're probably opening up not for human consumption or ingestion. May cause illness. Keep out of the reach of children. So what if I want to eat this as my cereal, dude? Who are you? QR codes. There you go. Thank you, Jay. It says allergy information may contain ingredients derived from fish, crustaceans, mollusk, soy, wheat, and other known allergies. And other known, allergens. Individuals with allergies should exercise caution. Storage: store in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight or moisture. Seal tightly after each use. Risk of parasite bacteria, although precautions are taken during processing, there is always a small risk of introduction of parasites and bacteria into your aquarium via any fish food. Use at your own risk. Manufactured and distributed are not responsible for adverse effects. So basically, he just kind of wrote the disclaimer in the back. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, Funk. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you to the website, and it'll give you exactly what is contained in this food. And I know he talked about this because he didn't want to have to worry. He thought it was ridiculous that they'll put all the information on the back of a packaging so small that you can't read it. And so he said, you know what? I'd rather have people go to a place where you can control the font size and be able to read it without having to strain your eyes or use a magnifying glass or something to try to read the tiny print that you get on a lot of the packaging, especially. And this is a good sized package where he could have actually done a pretty decent font on here, but even trying to put all this information in the back, the font size is pretty decent size. He felt that he didn't have the room to be able to put all that stuff on there. Now, what's also smart about that is he gets you to go to the website, and once you're there, hopefully you don't leave the website without purchasing something else. And I think he was talking about it last night, but he's also incorporated. I didn't see it, but I'll fix it. What are you talking about? What are you going to fix? Oh, he was also talking about adding salt, aquarium salt to his product line. So that's another thing that you guys can get out there. So he's hustling and making moves, which I think is great. So yeah, that was the one thing that was one of them. And this one you're gonna have to wait and see. I'm gonna wait and see. I'm gonna wait and see if somebody gets the golden ticket, I probably still won't open it. I am having a hard time. As much as I want to be able to get the cards, bad print job on the sticker. Maybe this. I don't know. Oh, open it. I haven't had my hands on the cards, but I know what cards are out there, and so I don't know. I'm kind of holding out Did your duckweed jello turn out? I haven't done the updated version of it yet. Actually, I got some advice from Beto of Great Lakes. I think it's Great Lakes on the ratio that of jello and water, and that might be where my problem is too. Um, I might have used too much because I used, I think, 1 to 1, and he was talking about doing like 3 to 1. So I'm gonna have to try that out. Problem is, I think the gelatin will still dissolve in water, but I don't know. I got to continue to play with it. I really haven't taken the time. I've kind of I got a lot of things that are going on, and I haven't really done it. This time around, what I did different, I dried out the duckweed and hoping that that would reduce some of the moisture, but I think I still messed up on the on on the water ratio to gelatin. So it makes sense to use a lot less water than what the instructions tell you. So I'm gonna have to try that out. Somebody else had mentioned about adding what was it that they it was like another byproduct to help reduce the moisture. So I've I kind of thought about maybe adding some animal protein, whether it was some fillet of tilapia or some shrimp, and blending that up to give it more of a consistency, um, and then blending it in with the duckweed, the dried duckweed, and then trying less water to gelatin ratio to see what that does. Um, but then that's no longer just a duckweed uh, rapashi. What I'm trying to do is basically rapashi. That's really what I'm being a super cheapskate, and I'm trying to go with a problem, not a problem, but an abundance that we have in the fish room, which is duckweed. And I know fish like my goldfish will eat the duckweed even if I don't do this. But I'm thinking like the shrimp. I saw a while back a video where a guy was drying it out, and then he would just crumble it and feed it to his fish like that. Why am I so obsessed with trying to make it like a gelatin food? I don't know. I just because I saw that rapashi was a thing, and then I was. Uh, I'll tell you what it was. I saw where somebody was making rapashi, and I can't remember if it was Corey or who had done it, where they took their hardscape and brushed it with the rapashi on there for um, I think it was bristlenose plecos, so they can rasp on the hardscape and be able to eat uh, and feed themselves. So that's kind of I think where the original idea kind of got planted in my head and said, oh, well, you know what, I can do that with taking the idea of the guy that was drying it out and feeding it, and taking the idea of a gelatin food and said, what if I do this together? Would I be onto something? But that was just really what it is. It's just being out of ideas to do content and experimenting. Again, it's kind of like trying to see if I could create something that'll work or not. But that's all that was. Oh, okay. I've been on so many fucking tangents. I've kind of lost all of you guys. Going back to hanging out with Mike from New Local Austin. Man, it's always very special to meet people that are in the hobby. But when you get to meet people that you consider friends and actually comes and most of you guys, I'm kind of jealous of all you guys that get to go like to the events in the East Coast, whether it's Aquashella or the Keystone Clash, where you guys all get to come together and hang out. I get a little jealous when I see that happening. Not in a bad way because I wish I could do it, but I'm so far out that it wouldn't be so much of a problem if I went by myself, but I know my wife and I always travel together, so that's that's never really been a thing for me to think that I'm gonna go out there by myself. I always automatically think about, "Oh, yeah, my wife is coming." So when I price it all out, um, it just gets too expensive. You're talking in excess of, about 1,400 or $1,500 just for a weekend trip. It just kinda doesn't make any sense. I think if I was to travel alone, I could probably find somebody that we could split the room. It would make it a little bit more feasible, but, I'm not traveling alone, so that kinda throws that out the window. Um, so it is what it is. I'm not too concerned. Maybe in the future something happens different, or I don't know. I'm trying to convince her that we need like a little small RV that we could travel on and go around. I'm in Florida. I've never seen nobody, but I am. That's mainly on me. But you got to go to the Aquashellas down there, so you can't say you haven't met anybody. Uh, so you've gone to at least one that I'm aware of that you've gone to, and then you got a bunch of other events down there that you just don't want to drive down to. So I don't want to hear any excuses from you, Funk. Um, but yeah, no, that's like I said, it's always extra special when you get to um, physically meet the people that you've had a connection uh, over the years. Isn't there an auction in Arizona every year? Yeah, there's the it's called sake. Yeah, sake. It's the South Aquarium Keepers event, and that's once a year. But they you basically have three fish clubs coming together. Um, I think there was a little bit of a interruption because of the pandemic where they didn't have 1 year of the event. I know Ron went to one. Ron from Garage Aquatics. He went not this year but last year to it, and he said there wasn't a whole lot of people there. So I don't know where it's at. Again, I know Alan, the guy that helps put it together. Um, I really need to do a better job of helping him promote it. Um, I think now, by no means do I have a big platform, but I have a bigger platform than I had 2 years ago. So I need to get more involved with that and really start putting it out there. I think they're not all they do for advertisement is just Facebook, which is fine. But now you could do so much with Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And I know um, Nelson was talking about it last night. There's it's a whole other animal. I look at a TikTok as the Wild Wild West. I'm not gonna lie, but there is a huge, I guess, fish community or people that are interested in fish. Um, I don't know how many of them are legitimate um, people that are in the hobby. That's where any fish will do. Um, you know, no, Kyle, no, Jake, Jacob of any fish will do. Is it Jacob? God damn, I know so many people and all the names start blending together. I think it is Jacob of any fish will do. He's big time down there on TikTok. Nelson has a bigger following on TikTok. Um, who else do I know? There's a guy out of the Canadian fish keeper, but the problem that I find with a lot of the people on TikTok that are trying to do it as content creators is that they start getting into doing this goofy battles, and that's the part where I they lose me. Um, they start doing these weird things. I guess because that's just the thing to do on TikTok. TikTok's better for years. People way nicer. You see, I know Salient and Metalheads. they were doing a thing together on TikTok, but I never found out. Jesse, how well did that go for you? There's a lot of more interaction. It's the original vertical live stream, I guess. And I've even done a few battles, makes you money. Though you don't need to be monetized in TikTok. Okay, yeah, I guess I get it. If you're trying to do it as a money thing, you're gonna go with what makes money. But I'm curious as to what I don't see, or at least because my algorithm hasn't really fallen into that, is like the videos you find on YouTube where they try to explain or teach you something. I don't see a lot of that. I do see some DIY stuff, but it's usually like in really fast. Um, because they have to fit it in. I think it's 3 minutes, the length of the video. I haven't figured. I know there's people that have done like part one, part two, part three, and they do longer content on there. But I just haven't taken the time to do that. Do you want to know why I go to a lot of fish events in Florida? I feel like they're like it's all just about buy, rather than do something like what Jeff, Foxy, and yeah, that's but okay, so I guess that's where we can't just sit here and complain. We just got to do something about it. And eh, see, but you're not that far. I guess you are, but you're not to be able to drive up to Pennsylvania. That would be what like a probably about a 12-hour drive for you. I don't know. It's I'm trying to think where it's at. No, it'd probably be longer than that. It probably yeah, you're probably about a 16-hour drive. Um, because it's all the way up north. So yeah, but I thought there's the fish club that Garden of Eater is kind of a big part of, where it's a little bit different because I guess that one you have like Ryan attends that. You have a lot more content creators there. So, but again, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not out there, so I can't really speak on that. If you don't go, how do you know? Yeah, exactly. So I try to get out to as much stuff as I can. As a matter of fact, I got invited, and I got personally invited by Nolan of Nolan's Aquariums to go to this Medaka fish event that they're having on the 27th. There's a lot of stuff going on the 27th. The only issue that I have is I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the days off. I know I submitted my request before going on vacation, but I've never done that much stuff on a I just got back from I go back to work on Thursday, and then I'll be taking the following weekend after that again on vacation. So I don't know if they're going to give it to me or not. I know this last time uh because two of us we're a 5-man crew, and two of us decided to take vacation at the beginning of July, which never really happens. We're usually pretty good about spreading out our vacation. And so a lot of the guys were working 12-hour shifts for 7 days. So I know they're not going to be very happy if they got to work more overtime. So I was really honest with my boss. I told him I would love to be able to go to the event, but I understood that if it became too much of a hardship, that I would understand if he didn't give me the days. 'Cause I got to be reasonable too. Even though I do have the time, I don't want to be the asshole at work that puts everybody at a hardship. Even though, I mean, I don't mind working overtime here or there because we don't work very much overtime. But if I was forced to work, 7 days straight, 12-hour days, I might not be the happiest of campers with my coworkers. So, even though I would understand because it is something that we can do, I would still kind of be thinking, "Oh, you fucking ass." So, so yeah, hopefully I can get it off. If I can get it off, that'll be great. If I don't, yeah, it would be and it also happens to be when I'm working graveyard, so it makes it harder on trying to find somebody that's willing to work a graveyard shift. So we'll see what happens. The My only hope is the guy that took vacation with me. He likes working. Um, he loves working graveyard, and he might want to make up some overtime because he was gone for the same time I was gone. So maybe he might cover that shift. I don't know. We'll see. Um, I'll find out on Thursday when I go back to work, and I'll look at the schedule and see if I got him off. But anyways, that event's going to be up in Santa Ana, down there in California. Um, and they're going to be, it's a strictly, I guess, a Medaka rice fish event. Um, I'm kind of really interested in Medaka, or not Medaka, but just rice fish in general, because it sounds like a fish that I could keep year round, whether I keep it indoors or outdoors. It's not good. It's a non-issue. It's going to tolerate my temperature ranges, and it seems like the ideal fish if I wanted to breed something that I could breed year round. I think that would be the one that I can pull off. And I haven't gone to any events in years. The last few years, I tended were disappointed. Yeah, I get that too. I've been to a couple of disappointing events, like the one that Mark was talking about, sake. It was good, but I thought it was going to be a lot different. I think what was bad about it, it was not the turnout that I was expecting. I thought that because it's in the Phoenix area and there's a lot of hobbyists down there, we would have had a bigger turnout. But granted, we were just coming off of lockdown. I think it was the very first event after all restrictions had been lifted. Um, Again, the advertisement was iffy at best. Um, Excuse me. Uh, I think it's one of those things where, given a little bit more advertisement, it would have a little bit more of a draw. But I'm trying to think. I wish we had a big content creator in the Phoenix area, because whether you hate them or like them, big content creators do tend to generate some interest. That's the thing. Um, I know it's real easy to pick and trash on the king of DIY, Joey, but as much as you want to hate him or whatever, the guy draws. The guy does bring in people to the events. Granted, then I might be the diehard hobbyist, but you never know who might convert over to a diehard and stick around. That's just, that's just the thing of it. The more people the more eyes you can get on an event that you're doing, on a club that you have, the better off you're going to be in the long run. I think that's why what's it? Is it Golden Coast, the one that's down there, Jay? I mean, Nano, Nano guy. Um, what's the name of that club that you guys attend down there? Because you got him there. You have wild fish tanks. You got the eaters. I'm trying to remember which other content creator that's down there that also goes to it. Literally make me want to advertise. Okay, I was really disappointed in Aquashella. I didn't even attend the last one in Dallas. The Texas area Keeley organization show is a lot better. I love hanging out with everyone. Just a different feel. Yeah. The Gold Coast Aquarium Society. That one there, I think a lot of the success that your guys see down there is because you do have content creators that are part of the club. I see a lot more advertising. This is in Florida, and I'm in the West Coast, and I'm seeing notifications in TikTok, in not TikTok, in Instagram, on Facebook, and then just people talking about it on YouTube, uh, by different people, not just one person. And I think that really helps clubs really grow. Um, and Fortunately for them, I think also they've kind of, because the other thing that you find with a lot of them is is you have the old guard, the people that have been there when it was initially, and I know Funk always says it's they just want to give each other awards, and I see it, I get it. It's always the same dudes giving each other awards for whatever it is they're doing, and I know that's been a topic of contention for Funk at some of the clubs that he goes to down there. He goes, man, I'm just tired of these guys. Each meeting is they're just handing awards to each other, and it's always the same guys. He goes, it just goes back, it switches hands, one event to another, and but I think that's because that's the old style of the Fish Club. They're not. He calls it the circle jerk. They're not bringing in any fresh blood. They're not interested in bringing in any fresh blood as much as they like to say that they do. They're immediately shooting down any ideas that are outside of what they're used to or what they call tradition. I think with the Gold Coast Aquarium Society, what was it? Let me get that right. Yeah, Aquarium Society. They've allowed um, younger younger people kind of take the lead with it, and a lot of them do have their roots in YouTube too. So that's kind of created a different dynamic, and I think that's part of the appeal. Hey, Drunken Chef, what's up, man? And so I think that's kind of become the appeal. That holy shit, I've been on for 2 freaking hours. All right, I think I'm gonna wrap this up because I got other stuff I need to get done. This was just originally supposed to be a test to see if my uh, visual and audio visual problems were were working correctly. Uh, I haven't noticed anything on my end. Hopefully, you guys didn't get any of the same issues that I was having yesterday. Because if that's the case, then this afternoon I'm going to be pretty good. Um, and also, well, I'll talk about that on a different topic. I should have talked about that earlier today, but I didn't. Because, well, I still don't know. Maybe I should hold off because plans might change again. With that being said, thank you guys for hanging out for me for 2 hours, man. You guys are nuts. Um, I'll see you guys this afternoon. 4 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock. No. Okay. 4 o'clock my time, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. I'm going to be on with New Local Austin and see what happens. And I'll see you guys there. You guys take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you soon, hopefully.